So hello everybody, and welcome back to day one of Focus Week. And as you all know, Monday is our Innovation Day. So we'll be talking about all things that are new in the world of end-to-end procure to pay. And really happy today to be speaking to the team from Yorkshire Water. And they are fantastic award winners for the Innovation in Supporting the Business Award, which we gave out at our P2P transformation site back in June, which seems like a while ago now, but yeah, so welcome everybody. This is Dave Mann and the team from Yorkshire Water. How are you all, guys? Good to see you today.
Yeah, good to see you, Ellen, and yeah, really excited about. We're still, really pleased that we won the award, and just to talk a little bit more about that today in terms of our submission and the great efforts and the contributions that we've made here at Yorkshire Water. So yeah, still on a high.
That's good to hear. No, really pleased to hear that. I mean, we had some fantastic nominations in, and that's, so the fact that you've won is just like a really good affirmation of everything that you've been doing there. It was a very strong nomination from you guys. So, and in that respect, what do you think? I know you've been through some significant changes in the team, but if you could pull out sort of one thing, if that's possible to do, what do you think has been the thing that you've been most proud of?
I think the thing that we're being most proud of really is is being able to kind of seek board approval for the additional investment to expand commercial assurance here at Yorkshire Water. So trying to seek the investment from board over a period where it's, from a financial unsettlement and a pandemic perspective, we've been able to kind of really win the board over to provide that investment. I guess the biggest thing that I've been proud about really is, whilst we've been able to seek that investment, recruiting and establishing a team over a pandemic with the various lockdowns that we've all been through, that's been significantly challenging. The team have really pulled together and developed really well. So they're working exceptionally well. And we've had a really good, strong, first year, and we've received this recognition, which has been a great endorsement for us. So yeah, I guess really the thing that I'm most proud of is how we've been able to kind of really form as a new function here at Yorkshire Water.
And creating that team and that team spirit is one of the most difficult things, isn't it? And actually finding the talent and securing that within the business. So that's really shone through as part of your nomination and in the results that you've achieved as well. So yeah, I mean, how difficult was it to create a whole new operating model? Can you just tell me perhaps a little bit more about it?
Yes, sure. The business, our business was going through a fairly strategic enterprise-wide change, transformation initiative at the time, and I kind of really saw that as a real key way into kind of getting in front of the board to try and put this through as a business case. So the various roles that I've had over the time that I've been here, with Yorkshire Water, 21 years, with mainly within the finance function, I've been able to kind of really get into identifying where those key areas of value leakage and those opportunities are across the whole of our supply chain arrangements and our key processes that kind of overlay and govern our third party expenditure. So I think the key turning point really for us was, during the first pandemic, our new CFO had joined, and he has been very instrumental and very key to securing this investment. He's been a big advocate for commercial assurance and contracts management to be done kind of centrally, resourced with high caliber individuals. So without his support, I guess really we won't be where we are today, or we wouldn't be as developed and formed as we are today. So with the investment, we've developed 3 new disciplines here within Yorkshire Water. So we've created commercial reporting, commercial risk, and contract audit, or within the commercial assurance family, if you like. So that's the new operating model, and we fit within a commercial services department as a whole and report directly into the finance directorate. So I think that's really key, is building those relationships across finance and procurement and commercial services as a collective.
And it's key, isn't it, as you say, to have that kind of support from everybody, and to have a CFO that actually recognises the team and what you're doing, and actually listens as well. And so, but you talk about a centralized commercial assurance function. Can you tell me maybe a little bit about the background? What led you to go down that route? I mean, what was the key things that were happening within the team or within the function, within the business, that made you think, actually, perhaps we need to centralize this?
Sure. So we'd carried out, like I say, we'd been working on doing various benchmark exercises.
Mm,
And one of the key statistics that was being reported back to me when we were looking at our commercial assurance kind of controls, our structures and the way we were operating, one of the key facts that really was a big turning point for me was, the external benchmark organizations were saying companies can lose up to up to potentially 10% of revenue through poorly managed contracts.
mm,
And taking that, statistic and that fact alongside the experience that I've gained over my time within Yorkshire Water and
mm,
the various kind of contracts I've been involved in, I saw a real good opportunity here, and that's where the business case then developed. And I guess, being involved in trying to identify where there's scope creep, where there's lack of transparency around financials,
mm,
all of this can lead to billing discrepancies, inaccuracies. So there's always been three key golden questions that I've always held myself to account
mm,
against, and those three are, how do we identify where value is leaking or where there's value leakage in our
mm,
commercial activities. The second one is, how do we identify cash that's leaving the business unnecessarily, and that's purely from off contract, unnegotiated, work, goods,
mm,
works, or even services. And the final one is, how do we know that what we should genuinely be paying for? And I guess those are the three golden questions. And that's where, we then develop the business case to implement those three kind of disciplines within commercial assurance to carry out the in-life contract management
mm,
due diligence, if you like, which seems to be kind of lost when we've gone through a very rigorous, extensive contract award process, and then, only for the contracts to be kind of left to gather dust potentially
mm, mhm.
in various parts of the business. So we've really turned a corner in how we kind of providing that service back out to the business, and we're a self-funding team, so we've got a
Right.
return on investment. So the cash that we do generate and recover back from our suppliers is paying off for
Mm.
the investment. So that's been the kind of trade-off with the board in terms of giving them that level of assurance that actually this investment will pay back.
Well, and I guess it's about providing confidence back as well, isn't it? So you're once you're able to see something and have visual insight into something, then
Hmm.
you're able to work confidently, knowing that you've got that under your belt. So, how important was it to get the buy-in of the executive team? You've talked about it a little bit already,
Hmm.
but do you think the success was that was key to the success, or how did you manage that? You've talked a little bit about it already, but
Yeah, I think it's very important to have C-suite support, not just for the investment purposes, but essentially, when we are coming across problems with, performance with our contractors, our suppliers, we're coming across issues that we're identifying, in life of our arrangements, you know, those contracts do sit across the whole of our business, so it's not just within, our finance directorate, if you
mm,
like. So and our CFO has been able to really kind of support and be that advocate to kind of break down the barriers, to give us that leverage, that key way into ensuring that, the business is fully supportive of what we're here to provide. And our support out to the business, and this is where, this has been a real big key success of ours, really, is that we're now turning a huge corner where the business is now coming to us to request for our support to get into contracts, to give them
mm,
that level of assurance, and to put the robust controls in place that allow them to effectively manage and run off those agreements, in an efficient and effective and an economical manner, really.
mhm.
So it's really key.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's interesting, isn't it? Because I mean, I've spoken to some other organizations throughout throughout this week, and where they haven't got that buy-in, it makes it much more difficult. Where that culture's not in place, it makes it much more difficult to actually get the success in terms of the ROI, but also actually, can you get that team to gel together? So it's great that you've got that on board, and it's obviously made a significant difference to you guys. Within that, I mean, you've gone through this function. I mean, how long did this take as a whole change
I think
piece?
as a whole, we trialed a few things. You know, we trialed some initiatives that we were trialing a few initiatives before we fully developed. Some things worked, some things didn't. You know, we invested in some AI technology. We invested in doing some light touch audits in commercial contracts. And I guess based on the success of some things that worked, and you know, taking the learnings from some of the areas that didn't actually work, and combining that into a business case, whilst we were then going through a business-wide enterprise kind of review of where there could be more opportunities in the business, that just created the platform for me to kind of really put that business case forward to get that support. And I think, you know, with the team that's now developed, you know, we're able to provide that return, if you like, back to the business. And that year one, based, you know, springboarding off of the successes that we had during those trials, we've now really been able to kind of finesse those processes and those systems that we've now got in place that allow us to kind of get to a steadier state to really deliver. So it's really key that you do trial a few things, and some things, some initiatives will not succeed, but you've got to really kind of put yourself out there to fail as well as succeed.
I think that's key as well. Personally, I think if you're never going to be able to progress unless you actually look at your functions and your processes, and perhaps go for some items which are not going to necessarily succeed. But I think you have to be curious enough to look down those channels and then see what comes out of the end of that. And you know, you're not always going to be successful with everything, but I think unless you're curious and try, then you don't know, you know. So what do you think has been the most surprising thing that you discovered out of this?
Yeah, I think it's how quickly we started to achieve our results. And I think that goes back to the actual investment in people. So we really took our time, and, you know, and that did put some of our timelines back. So we didn't really fully establish until November. But, you know, that was a real conscious decision for us in that post-COVID environment where, you know, we were up against challenge. We were recruiting and we were mobilizing and establishing in a remote environment. But, you know, we got some great people. We've got a fantastic team. It's integrated really well with our reporting team and our risk team. And it's really just all gelled together so quickly and so well that it's really just started to enhance those results that we've seen in our first year of mobilization.
And that's great, isn't it, to have that the people actually involved in that, and as you say, to do that over the course of the pandemic is even more of an amazing factor, isn't it? And I know that you've upgraded a number, you spoke about it a little bit just now, Dave. You've upgraded some of your technology, and within that there's been some best of breed applications that you have gone for as well. That probably as a result of some of the trial and error things that you're talking about earlier just now. So did that involve much change management within that, and how did you achieve that? I know you've just mentioned there that that the people actually, one of the key parts of that was how quickly they took that on board, but how did you achieve that through the team?
Yeah, so over the last sort of 12 months, we've implemented obviously a lot of new systems, new technologies. So we have a huge suite of Power BI dashboards to the business, which provides insights around the value leakage, trends in data, dashboards which show sort of commercial opportunities and where those sit. We've implemented risk dashboards. We've taken feeds from various different intelligence places, such as Safe Contractor, such as Credit Safe, and various different places, which all builds that one picture. And we're building, as part of this process, we are looking to build a sort of centre of excellence for reporting, which means that we're trying to have that one version of the truth across the piece, which helps them provide sort of reliance on, well, one version of the truth provides reliance on robust data and robust decision making.
Yeah, and we went. Oh, sorry, Ellen. We went out to the market really. When I started in the role as commercial risk manager just over a year ago, and seeing how many suppliers we've got, over 1,800 suppliers at Yorkshire Water, I think it was obvious to me at the time that we had this challenge to how do we manage risk and understand all of our risk, across those suppliers and our contracts. And we had to look for technological solutions to do that, and had to change to see the wood for the trees. So we did a lot of benchmarking and went out to market to seek software solutions to help us manage our commercial risks around finance, health and safety, insurance, resilience, all the ESG, environmental, social governance stuff as well. So there's a big basket of stuff that we want visibility of to help us understand the landscape. But what we found was actually there wasn't really an affordable one-stop shop out there in the market for us that met our specific needs. But what we did, so we had to look at innovative ways to how we could deliver our vision really. And what we did was we collaborated really well with Steve and the reporting team and the rest of our commercials, just to say, commercial team, what do we want to achieve at, what do we really want to see out of this? And what we did is we pulled in all of our sort of third party in subscriptions that we already had with, as Steve just said, with Credit Safe, but we did go with a new solution from Alchemist, which is Safe Contractor, which is a portal that helps us identify and manage supplier risks and highlights opportunities for intervention. All this has really helped us provide assurance on financial and insurance arrangements, amongst other things, but it's helped us understand our risks and liabilities right across the board, right throughout the life cycle of a contract, just to ensure we're getting the best commercial deal for Yorkshire Water.
Yeah, that's great to hear, and I think it's very key, isn't it, to get that kind of visibility on board, which you struggle to get without the right technology. Did you get any pushback from the team about this? I mean, what kind of change management process did you go through? Did you have like team meetings? What kind of approach did you guys take?
Yeah, I think it's pivotal for any change project, really, that right at the start you need to be clear on the scope and get all your stakeholders engaged. So we spent a lot of time working with the rest of the business to say, so especially our commercial team, our contract team and the wider commercial team, to say, certainly on the risk side of it, we went out and said, this is what we think is available. These are the systems that we've seen. This is what I'd like. What would you like? So we gathered all of those requirements up front to get that buy-in really from the business, and it's not always been easy to get that buy-in. You do get that kickback sometimes. It's like, well, do we want all of this? What we're going to do with all of this information? Everyone's stretched on time, but you know what, I think, as Carl said, we quickly have been able to realise those benefits, and I think they're seeing that actually having that information is helping them to make better decisions quickly.
And it seems like as a team, you're very open to talking to the rest of the business and the other departments. So, and I think that's quite key, and having that culture on board of sharing information as well, and actually tying that in to the overall end strategy. And I think you can do that with your processes, but it's to do that underpinned by technology, I think makes all the difference, certainly in terms of efficiency and the reporting that you can get on the back of that as well.
Yeah, and I think Matthew probably has got a good example, and Carl, around like AI. I don't know if you want to hand over to Matthew.
Yeah, so I think using the example of using credit reference agency data and consolidating that with other information sources that we had access to around the business, it's allowed us to deploy kind of credit default models and types of analysis that's typically employed in other industries such as financial services and commodities management. And with our diverse range of backgrounds, we have the clarity of vision to understand what is possible. And so when we are socializing that within management, we can clearly articulate where it's going and what the value is to keep them on board, and that's been particularly useful. Also, I think that the turbulent times that we're living through at the moment have really helped management welcome new analytical tools. They've been asking us for these sorts of things, so we've been in the right place at the right time with what we're trying to do. Another example would be in pulling in intelligence to start modelling and forecasting inflation, which is particularly important for everybody everywhere, but particularly in construction. We've got all kinds of supply chain disruptions and inflation at record highs. So that's information that's been requested, and we've been able to provide it. So yeah.
That's great to hear that you're one step ahead of what the business is asking for. You're there already, and I think that just shows one of the reasons why you guys at Yorkshire Water have been the award winners for this innovative approach to things, because you're one step ahead, and and to have the business coming to you and you've already got the answers there because you've thought about it, that makes all the difference, I think, at the end of the day. So Carl, do you have a story that you wanted to share?
Yeah, I think you talked about innovation. AI technology is definitely an emerging market, and where we are in our journey, we're looking to explore, and we're looking to test and do everything and anything that we can we can look at from technological solutions to make things quicker and really targeted. And certainly from a contract compliance perspective, we ran a couple of pilots last year, which we were really successful with. We did a tech review where we could ingest our contracts into the OCR. It would pull out our complex, any kind of clauses where we would find those value leakage opportunities. And, that worked really well for us, and it's something that we will continue to do now as we go through our cycles.
Yeah, that's great to hear, and I think that will only become more and more innovative, won't it, as time goes on. And like I was saying to somebody just yesterday, that transformation process never ends, does it? You don't get to a point and say, right, that's it, we're all transformed, it's time to finish now. It's like an ongoing process, which in some ways can seem daunting, but actually it makes it exciting and interesting too, and feeds into the rest of the business and what you're able to do and provide back to it as well. So do you feel then, as a result of all this, that the rest of the business is perhaps feels more confident about the commercial decisions that you're taking?
I think it's developing, Ellen. I think we're still a relatively new function here within our commercial services and our finance directorate part of the business, and I think the more and more we keep promoting and elevating what we're doing, we're going to get more. We're going to get more buy-in. We're seeing an increase in the level of requests to get more involved in, where the business is seeing concerns and issues or performance issues with various contracts. Some of those may not be delivering, or some of them may be kind of pushing the envelope of scope creep as a good example. So I think the business is getting to know more about us. The business is becoming a lot more confident that we're here to support them deliver their financial targets, their business plans. And a way to get into that now is to look at our third-party supply chain arrangements. The business has gone through fairly significant changes over the years, looking at other P&L cost items on the ledger, and it's been a bit of an oversight, if I must admit, that we've not really focused as heavily on our supply chain arrangements, and it's a significant amount of cash that leaves our business annually. So getting into the business to promote what we do and to get to build those collaborations and provide that assurance back out is extremely key, is to have that support. And I think getting that message sent down from the senior leaders back into middle management is equally key. So we've got almost that kind of tone at the top, and that culture being driven down, and the real sustainable reports, those robust reports that Steve's mentioned a moment ago, around providing highly professional presentable dashboards where they can place reliance on is again really key, and that's really a big growth area of ours. Whilst we've set ourselves, when we've developed a small number of contract performance dashboards to monitor KPIs, that for me is going to be a huge growth area for this next 12 months.
Mm-hmm.
Just to come in with a couple of tangible examples as well. So in the aftermath of the Ukraine invasion, the board wanted immediate assurance over our supply chain exposure to various foreign powers. And, you know, with the intelligence that we had at our fingertips, we were able to provide some fairly good assurance very quickly on that front. So that was most welcomed. And as I've already mentioned, but the inflation pricing intelligence, just being able to get a couple of months ahead of the trends that we were seeing, resulted in multi-million pounds worth of workload reallocation to adjust to the things that we were seeing. So very tangible outputs to what we've done and changes in business decisions as a result.
No, that's great to hear. So it's a really proactive approach, and rather than reacting to the events as they're happening, you've already, thought about that, plan for it, and you've got those answers at your fingertips. And I think it's key, like you're saying, for you and for a number of businesses now, especially to look at kind of things like inflation. I was just listening to something on the radio yesterday, actually, about inflation, how that's affecting schools, for example, and what you're saying there about potentially sanctioned suppliers in relation to what's happening in Ukraine. So I think that's going to be key for a number of businesses, and they, if you're not already on this change management journey, then I think that's something that you certainly need to look at. And if anybody here, I'm sure you guys would be happy to talk to anybody who is listening today and is thinking, actually, we need to be more on the ball with some of these things. I'm sure you guys would be happy to speak to anybody who is listening today and just say, actually, this is what we've done, this is where we started, and this is what we've gone through. I guess they can contact you guys about how to do that.
Absolutely, yeah. We're more than willing to kind of share, the journey that we've gone through, and equally learn from others too. We're here to pass that learning on.
That's great. And that's one of the benefits of all being together as part of the network. You come and join at events like this and at the P2P Transformation Summit and other things that we've got coming on, and just share your experience and learn from each other. So how has this change that you've all been through affected the staff morale and perhaps the standing of the team within the rest of the business? How has it been received?
I think it's I think in our immediate function, we're very energized. Carl mentioned earlier, we've recruited over, a pandemic and in various lockdowns. So within the function, we're very energized. We're really kind of we are demonstrating there's value here. There's opportunities. So from a job satisfaction perspective, all our team colleagues are really proud about the difference that we're making out in the business. We're seeing that pull. So we're no longer needing to push us as much as we needed to do at the very beginning. So we're now seeing that pull where the business is requesting more assurance and more involvement in commercial contracts. So I think morale's building. I think there is a degree of nervousness, I guess, really. We don't want to disrupt various relationships is the kind of key phrase that I hear sometimes. And I think it's so I classify ourselves really as being change agents to manage that emotional feel, that transactional kind of process that we need to take the business through. We're at a pace where we're really trying to drive a significant change into the business. So trying to do that overnight is not going to be successful. You really need to do this in bite-sized chunks and try and bring and coach the business through the same process and journey that we're going through. So you've got to be mindful of that. I can't kind of stress how important that really is, because you don't really want to be putting off the business. Essentially, really, you need them to be alongside you.
Absolutely. You need to bring people with you on any change, and I think that if you ever feel like you're dragging people along, I think that's the point where you stop and think again and try a different approach, because like you were saying now about one of the key results or one of the key things that you're most proud of the process that you've been through is the people that you've got on board and how quickly they aligned with that. That also on the flip side of that, perhaps for the rest of the business, is they need to understand what you're doing first and not feel like they're being sort of dragged. And it's all part of that larger change management process. Ultimately, it's all about relationships, isn't it? And making sure that you're building on those. And that goes for suppliers too, like you were saying, Matthew, earlier. Oh,
yeah,
it's
absolutely. And I think winning this award, Ellen, has been the icing, I guess, really on the cake. I think it's been a real good recognition and external endorsement, and that's gone down really well. So we've done a minor piece of internal kind of promotion on that. So we've put that on our various kind of internal communication channels. So that has gone down really, really well, and it just kind of endorses what we're here to deliver for the business. So it's been really well received. So
that's fantastic. Good to hear. Well, thank you for your nomination. It's been fantastic to hear what you guys have been doing, especially going through the pandemic and having a look at all of the fantastic stuff that you've been doing and the results that you've achieved on the back of that. And I have to say, it's fantastic looking at your backgrounds today. Or Yorkshire Water. I really must have another trip up to Yorkshire.
Yeah.
All right, well, that's been fantastic. Thanks to all of you for joining us today and for sharing your insights and experience. And like I said, if anyone's on here listening and thinks, do you know what, we want to do something similar, then get in contact with me or get in contact with one of the team here. And I'm sure with everyone, we can get together and we can help you guys to do that. But for now, thank you, team from Yorkshire Water, and very well done, and congratulations on winning the Innovation of Supporting the Business of the Year award. Well done, guys. See you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.